Hey everyone, it's a nerd named Mark here, and it's time to go over episode 7 of Kamen Rider Geats. Oh man, like, final boss time. And I actually think from a story and character standpoint, this is my favorite episode so far out of the season. Action-wise, it was there, but like, we got a little bit of everybody in this one, which I really enjoyed. Obviously, just like every other episode so far, except for the first episode, Kawa starts off narrating, or not narrating, but giving his little video diary to himself about the GDP or DGP. I keep saying GDP. I don't know why. And his sister catches him again, and this time it's really hilarious because she's like, he's being all secretive, and she's like, oh, there's no need to be ashamed. He's an adult now, implying that he was looking at things on the internet. And I was like, oh yeah, I could see how that would be a misconception. It's kind of funny because we're getting like a highlight of like everybody, because then we pan to Ace sitting on his rooftop with that Caesar coin, that old coin, looking at it, and then we finally get something about him, because you get a flashback from the point of view of a kid. I assume it's a kid because it's a little hand holding a coin, and this woman is telling him not to remember her and he'll be happier that way. And then it turns out that it's his mother. So we assume now we finally figured out who Ace is looking for. It's his mom. So we get some foreshadowing, because obviously I have the most recent magazine that came out. Kawa is going through some of his childhood stuff. He's reading like this little letter that his younger self wrote to himself for 10 years late in the future. And, he talks about being, a cool, like awesome, like good, like adult, wonderful life and this and that. And the sister even says, maybe your younger self meant you were, going to be a ninja, and takes out an origami, shuriken. And I was like, oh, are we foreshadowing the ninja buckle for Kawa? Because we know, obviously, from scans and toy pre-sales, like, the ninja buckle is going to be his, because it's color-coded. It kind of matches him. And we all, remember from a couple episodes ago where Ace literally said there's a buckle that is meant for each ID core where you'll get a boost with it. So I feel like he's going to get the ninja buckle at some point in this episode or next episode. I did find a funny moment when Neon was streaming. It's her 53rd attempt to escape. And when one of the bodyguards sees her and starts running, she hides behind another one, hides behind what she assumes is a lady, and he turns around and it's the other bodyguard. I thought that was very hilarious. And I also was curious more about the final round, because it just abruptly started. The barrier is there. There's no message, this and that. And apparently, because it is the final boss, you don't get a warning ahead of time when the round itself starts. So I was like, there was like this little montage of everyone doing their henshins, and from civilian form to henshin, instead of just starting off base form already in the round. We finally get to see, I don't think so far we've actually seen Dead Set like Kawa doing good, but like he took out some Jamato and he cleared another secret mission, which I was wondering when we were going to get more secret missions. It's been a while since we've seen anyone clear a secret mission. The one that he did was defeat one Jamato without being detected, and guess what? He's given the boost buckle. This man has gotten the boost buckle like every episode since I think like episode 2, and has not used it. He better use it in this episode, because I was just like, if he doesn't use this, I'm gonna be so pissed. And honestly, he did use it, so I'm really happy. So with the theme of all the games, we had pairs in the last one. Before that, we had zombie survival. Basically, this one is kick the can. Yeah, kick the can. Now, I know I'm old. It's been made aware that I am old. I was shocked that it was kick the can. Buffa finds, the boss first. He's tiny, and he even comments how tiny he is. But he goes for attack, and this little dude hits him with that 35 hit like combo that everyone gets you, where they juggle you in the air and they just keep hitting you, and you can't get out of it. It's unblockable, and then he gets knocked back. Um, and we find out that the boss will consume any human it sees and use their essence to grow bigger. But how it consumes them is it consumes them by putting them into a can, and the can gets bigger too. So the little guy gets his Monster Energy drink, pun intended, and drinks it and gets bigger and more powerful. And the only way you could defeat him is by kicking his can, which disperses all the energy it absorbs, and it withers away and dies. And I'm like, okay, that's that's cool. So and then everyone realizes we got to get that can. They all run at it, go for a kick in this net, and he just wipes everyone out really quick. As he cracks open his little can, takes a little chug of it, and grows big, and then does like a little taunting dance and disappears. They did so much in such a short time frame. One, we got introduced to the boss, which is cool looking. We find out basically how to defeat it, so there's no real trick to it, and we got to see just how powerful it was. And I was like, oh, this is a lot different visually and this and that from the first episode final boss, where it was literally a floating fortress monster, which was cool. So now we're all back at the lounge. Zuma, like, he got beat up pretty bad. He's got his arm all bandaged up, and once again, good guy Kawa asks about saving all the people that was absorbed by the boss. Like, if they defeat him, will that happen? And basically that's it. You win the round, and everyone who was absorbed by the boss will be saved. And this is when, like, we got some real good information about Ace and everything that's going on, because Ace recalls that there was a previous DGP where all the riders were defeated, because let's face it, if every rider's defeated, the round is over. Like, it's over, the game is done. And the boss, like, exterminated every human when in the game area, and it's actually, and the butler dude actually says, yeah, that's the exact same boss. Like, it hasn't been beaten at all. Kara brings up, like, Ace, he knows a lot about the DGP, and asks how long he's been doing it. And Ace literally says the first year of Anno Domini, which is Latin, medieval Latin for in the year of the Lord, which basically means 81. Like, he's been doing this since 81. And I'm like, that's 2,000 years. I was like, that's a lot. Like, okay then, because that's, yeah, literally that's being, what, if this takes place in our time, like right now, 2022, that means he's been doing this for 2021 years. But then again, if there was a previous one before that he wasn't a part of, does that mean this has been going on longer? I don't know. It's very confusing now because of the tech everyone has and everything. Like, I'm curious about how this whole resetting, like, I have so many questions now about the aliens and the DGP and what it actually is, because now I'm just like, man, there's something about this that doesn't add up to an extent. I don't know. There's something up with Ace. That's the thing. And it's like we get more information, and it's just like, man, like, but now we're not really getting a lot of information from the side of like the Jamato and the DGP itself. And that's where, like, that's the information I want now. Like, I'm good on how much we're learning about the characters. Now I'm just like, I want to know about everyone else. So the round is basically like paused because the boss disappeared, and so everyone gets to go home, and they'll be alerted when the boss pops back up again. We see Nan and Ace going out for some noodles to actually at Kawa's favorite soba place, and they are talking about how Nan just doesn't feel, she feels kind of selfish fighting for her wish instead of, like, because people's lives are at stake. And what becomes some of the funniest scenes and kind of the coolest dynamic is Kawa and Sarah, his sister, show up too, and she's losing it, and Nan and Kawa point at each other, and Ace is just nonchalant, like, yo. And they all get to sit down and eat, which is really cool. We see Kawa get a flashback to the first episode when the owner gets, struck down by a Jamato, and he said he's not gonna let that happen again. So we're kind of really seeing this, like, Kawa finally getting that motivation, finally taking it seriously that he needs to win if he wants his wish. And even you know after their dinner and stuff like that, because all four of them sat together, they're all walking, and Sarah and you know Nan are walking together, and Ace and Kawa, and they're all talking, and we see how Ace mentions how good, well, actually, before that, before they even leave, Ace mentions how good they get along, as siblings, and, Sarah mentions how they live together, and, they're all they got since their parents died. So, and you can see Ace's reaction to this is kind of like, oh, I think he's starting to fully understand Kawa's motivation, which he does even says that, that's what he does, because he tells him that he understands why he wants world peace, so that no one else will feel the pain of losing family. And Ace then says, well, let's save the world together. So already we know, like, Ace has done this before to Kawa, obviously, and he is good at manipulating Kawa. Kawa's very gullible and easily, just because of how nice he is and how motivated and one track he is to saving the world and world peace. So now the final boss has appeared, and like I said, they're in an amusement park. It's cool. The boss is big now. We see the can. The can has grown larger, but just like I said before, Ace is already in Kawa's head, and he takes out the boost buckle, and he's like, I got this. And even Azuma says, think, if you fail, this is it. That's why before Azuma wanted it for himself in the lounge, because he said he could do it. And we get, like, I love that the boost form on Kawa. It looks really cool. And obviously there's a good sequence. He's dodging everything. He gets hit midair and does a revolve while in midair, and then just runs, and he misses the can. He does not get it. And he's taken out by the boss, and he's injured and in civilian form, running away. The boss almost takes him out, and Geats shows up, Magnum form, and protects him. And we get another secret mission done, which is save another player from the final boss, and he gets the ninja buckle. And he even says, this is the item needed to defeat the boss. And that's when Kawa finally realizes that, Ace once again hyped him up and gassed him up to basically get his ass kicked, and for his own gain, because now Ace has the buckle needed to win. I will say, I love the ninja form. I love the ninja buckle. The fact that he can, like, disappear into the the smoke and reappear, and then he can also, like, all the attacks he does, and then he duplicates himself. And my favorite thing is the ninja dueler is, like, such a good weapon. Like, I thought it was really cool. And he was able to do this duplicating himself and attacking, and then while the boss was reeling and kind of distracted, he actually kicked the can. And I was like, oh, Ace won. But then the boss caught the can and disappeared. Our lovely host shows up, and she says the round is not over because you need to kick the can out of the game area to win. And if you don't kick it out of the area, the boss will always catch it and disappear. Then we get, as they're on their floating CG platform of doom, we get Ace and everyone, standing around, and Azuma once again is kind of suspicious and whatnot about Ace, because how did he know about the ninja buckle? And the whole time Kay was, like, grilling and mean mugging Ace. Like, we're finally, like, I was like, okay, is Ace finally tired of this shit? Like, are we, or not Ace, is Kawa finally tired of this shit? Are we gonna see Kawa finally be like, listen, So he actually says, because he sees all these flashbacks to even the first episode, all these times that Ace was, manipulating him and planting seeds. And he says, no more trust. And then he just passes out. And that's literally how the episode ends, with Nan going to check on him. This was a good episode. I think getting more of Ace's, like, backstory was good, especially now that we see, like, how like long he's been doing this, and actually hearing about more of the previous Grand Prix. The scene with all them eating together and walking together was nice. Like seeing them all interact, like it really puts in perspective. Like I said, we're getting like Kawa is such a nice character, such a good character. We're finally seeing that spark needed for him to kind of like step it up in the next like level. So I'm very excited for episode 8. I think that's gonna be a really good episode. Even Azuma's starting to like, before he was just like, I want to destroy all Kamen Riders, but now you could see he's kind of like, what the hell is Ace up to? What does he know? Like now that they figured out how long he's been doing this, he's like, now he's just like, okay, he probably wants to win just so he can stop Ace also from making more wishes. But it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. Are you excited for the next episode where ultimately we're probably going to get the boss getting defeated since it wasn't in this one? But before I go, there's another DGP rule on the screen. It said, when all Kamen Rider are defeated, the game is over. The area will vanish. So that's it's a little extreme. Also, my hair's not messy. This is actually how my hair is naturally. It's really curly and slightly long. So like, if I don't do anything to it outside of showering, it like literally will always look like this. And I don't feel like doing anything. I'm tired. I don't feel good. I gotta go to work. But let me know what you thought of the episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone who's been subscribing and commenting and liking videos. That being said, this is my review and my overview of Kamen Rider Geats episode 7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.